Hello everybody and welcome back to the Alabama Crimson Tide Dynasty Mode in NCAA 2004, and we're here looking at some BCS Bowl rankings where we currently sit at the top with Notre Dame, TCU, Penn State, Colorado State, Indiana, and Wake Forest kind of making a little bit of a undefeated sandwich with West Virginia sitting on the outside of that. But these are all of the teams that have currently followed us along here and have not lost a game so far heading into the season. But as we head into the meat of most conference schedules, that is probably subject to change. Of course, we know like in the Big Ten, both Penn State and Indiana probably are going to be playing, like Ohio State and stuff, playing some tough games. So we will probably expect to see some of them fall off. We know Wake Forest probably can't stick around for as long as they've stuck around. But Colorado State and TCU are probably going to be unchallenged, maybe even Notre Dame as well, because I don't think there's really a team in Conference USA anymore that's better than TCU is. They firmly kind of replaced Southern Miss in that battle. Remember, Southern Miss was with us for so many seasons, and now they're still having good seasons with double-digit wins, but they're just not really contesting for the Conference USA anymore or BCS national titles. And then Colorado State is completely uncontested in the Mountain West. But Air Force is starting to kind of put something together, so we might be looking at the Falcons in this year and maybe a little bit of next year potentially. Who knows? But for right now, we will be focused on all of those games following this game, which is the third Saturday in October, our rivalry game with the Tennessee Volunteers, and we are back in Neyland in Knoxville for this game under the lights. And it's been a while since we featured a game in Neyland. We've watched this game pretty recently within the last couple of seasons, I know, but Tennessee's just kind of been in a weird kind of space in flux where, like, they've had some decent teams, they've put together some decent records, and they've contended in the Eastern Division, but they just have not been good enough to make it back to where we expect them to be, which is the SEC title game. So we haven't seen them in an SEC title game in, I don't know how long. It's been a while. I'm trying to look now and flip through my notes and see if I can find where I wrote down all the SEC championship games, but it's been a while, man. It's been at least a good little while. We've started to see more Vanderbilt, and of course South Carolina kind of replacing Tennessee in the Eastern Division. So maybe Tennessee will finally fight back here. They're off to a great start this season, and this is not going to be an easy game by any stretch. So shout out to the Volunteers for putting something together, and now Garrett Handy's exposing the hole in the middle of the defense as he runs right up the gut himself, and we've seen him do that a couple times so far this season. Just kind of seizing that opportunity in the middle of the field and making something out of nothing. But already it's 3rd and 10 against Tennessee's defense, and Handy's going to try and throw for it. Back to pass here. Floats into the middle of the end zone, and somehow that pass is going to be caught in the very back of the checkerboard, and it's Reeves. It's David Reeves who catches it. So another touchdown for Reeves, and that's going to give him number 4 on the season. And now we're back on offense on another 3rd down, and Handy back to pass. Another clean pocket. Floats into the middle. That ball is tipped, but still caught. Now off to the races and in the end zone. It's going to be another Crimson Tide touchdown, and it looks like Ben Medley, but remember both Reeves and Medley have like the same kind of swag going on, like the same ankle tape and the same like visor and face mask, but it's Ben Medley. So Ben Medley's going to get his 8th touchdown of the season. And Handy, in case you're curious about him, that is his 27th touchdown of the season. With the Reeves touchdown and the Medley touchdown, that is now his 27th touchdown to just 6 interceptions. So hopefully we don't see any in this game here, but we are going to get a turnover as Medley throws it backwards, and Tennessee's going to be able to recover that as there's nobody out there in the vicinity. It looks like maybe the pressure came a little bit too soon on that screen, and the ball ends up just sailing into the grass going backwards, and Tennessee's going to be able to recover that. And now the first quarter is going to come to a close with us holding on to a 14-0 lead. And you can kind of tell how much Tennessee's program is kind of taking a step back, as they are undefeated and they're not even in that 7-team sandwich that I talked about at the beginning of the video. So they're not even really getting the consideration from the media or the coaches in the rankings, as they're still sitting outside the top 10 as an undefeated SEC team. So consider that when I talk about Tennessee kind of falling off a little bit here. But now the Volunteers are finally moving with some purpose here on offense. A nice run play is going to get them inside the 35-yard line, as it's Quentin Stewart, the running back. And he's got 12 touchdowns this season. That's the big thing. He's only got a little over 700 yards, but last year he had the same numbers, but with half as many touchdowns in a full season. So he's already reached that total in this game, in this rivalry game, but he has doubled the touchdowns. But now there's a huge disaster as LaTroy Cummings finds one of our defenders heading the other way, and it is a humongous pick six heading the complete opposite direction that they really needed it to go. And it's Dylan Bentley, the freshman, who's able to get the interception and, turn it into a pick six. So LaTroy Cummings, huge mistake for him. And Cummings is an interesting prospect to talk about here. He's been the starter at Tennessee since he was a freshman, so he started all 3 seasons. He's a junior now, and he's been Tennessee's primary starter. And he's got over 1,700 yards entering this game, and he's only thrown 3 interceptions. That's now his 4th interception on the season, to 11 touchdowns. So he's had a pretty decent season so far. His career total is 50-32, so he's thrown a lot of interceptions. He's turned the ball over a lot, but this season he's starting to limit it a little bit, but that was a costly mistake for the Volunteers. Now, Tremaine Moultrie is going to make the Tennessee defense really feel it as he gets a nice run play on the edge. Just gets around the defense, really. Nothing really impressive about this play call, just kind of relying on the speed and just bursting past. We picked up a lot of great blocks, a lot of good coverage from our offensive line, and even our receivers laying down some blocks and clearing the path for Tremaine Moultrie for a beautiful touchdown, and that is touchdown number 7 for him. So 28-0 now the score here in the first half. Tennessee desperately looking for any kind of pointage if they can find it, but another completion now to Evan Jacobs is going to get us inside the red zone once again, as Tennessee's defense has absolutely zero answer for this Crimson Tide offense. Handy looking around here, and he floats one to the pylon. That pass is going to be caught, just toe drags inside at that corner pylon, and that's going to be another Alabama touchdown for Reeves. So Reeves with a multi-touchdown game here gets up to 5, and now we are taking a 35-0 lead after 1 half of play. A 35-0 lead. So remember, Notre Dame dropped 80 on Tennessee in Neyland, and maybe that's what we're trying to go for as well. Is Tremaine Moultrie, oh, don't do it to him. Please don't do it to him. He's not going to win the foot race. He's going to get tackled inside the 30, but it is an amazing pickup for the running back as he finds space right up the middle of the field, and maybe the spine of Tennessee's defense seems to be the weakness. They maybe just don't have the strength, the defensive tackles, or in the linebacking core to kind of, help them out. I say that, and then, of course, Garrett Handy's going to get sacked, so... I'm just talking all that smack, and then immediately Garrett Handy just makes me eat my words. But that was on 3rd down, so now on 4th and very long, Sick Naven sending out Kendall Owens for a very long field goal, and it is good. So Kendall Owens, man, shout out to that leg, really showcasing some of the strength that he's got in there as he nails that field goal through. And now it's going to be 38-0 over the Volunteers, and we are back on offense in Tennessee territory once again, quicker than we can even finish the sentence. And Handy takes a shot towards the end zone, and that pass is going to be caught. I have no idea how. It does not look like the ball broke the plane at any point. I think the receiver's hitbox definitely broke the plane of the end zone, but I don't think the ball did at all. And but that's Chip Milligan. So Chip Milligan grabs touchdown number 10. Chip Milligan's having himself a hell of a year with touchdown number 10 right there. He's really kind of putting good namesake here on that 89. And now it's 48-0 after 3 quarters. 48-0. Okay, so Tennessee's trying things. It's 3rd and 2. It looks like they can score here, and they do, as LaTroy Cummings is able to find an open receiver in the end zone. And finally, Tennessee is going to add some points here. Normally in real life, I think Neyland would be completely empty by this point in the game, but the Tennessee faithful are still here, and they are, if nothing else, faithful. Expecting Tennessee to maybe fight back and make this a little bit respectable, but it's now 48-7. Now on a 3rd and inches. We have the backups in the game, by the way. I just got tripped up because I was about to call it Garrett Handy, but it's backups that we have in the game, and that backup was Matt Bishop, the freshman. So we finally get to see a little bit of snaps and some reps here with Matt Bishop, the backup quarterback, and he finds an open target. I'm going to assume that's the backup tight end. I think it is. I think it's Donaldson, the backup tight end, who's sitting behind Dillard right now, Jeff Dillard. But either way, it's another touchdown for the Crimson Tide, and now we're going to break the 50 marker here. Tennessee scores again to get themselves 14 points, and now trying to kill out some clock here, and now we have some more backup action as the backup running back just bursts of speed, just completely breaks out into the secondary, and it's going to be another Alabama touchdown. Another one. As we cannot be stopped here. And just look at the burst of speed, man. Look at this. Just finding an opening and keeping the play alive. And yeah, look at that. No one's going to catch up. And so we break the 60-point marker in this game. And yeah, that's how it's going to end. 62-14. 62-14. I don't know if that's the largest margin of victory, because I know the sim games that we haven't watched against Tennessee have all gotten out of hand. I think we've had like a 55-0 score before. So I'm not sure if this is the biggest margin of victory over the Volunteers or not, but I don't think it is. But it might be the most points that we scored in Tennessee, maybe. I think there might have been a year where we scored like 70. I'm really not sure. We need to go back and look, but it's definitely been pretty crazy. It's one of the stats I will keep note of when I start making all the graphics for the end of this series. But yeah, definitely it's been a little bit of a gross back and forth in this rivalry for a long time. I talked about the all-time Arkansas matchup rivalry, and I don't know about Tennessee, but Tennessee's is just as bad, and it's a lot worse because we've played Tennessee multiple times this season. Excuse me. multiple times a season, as we have, played them in the SEC championship, like, a handful of times. There was a point in time, like, from years 5 to, like, 12 or something, where we played them twice every single season. We met them in the SEC championship game every single season. It was just ridiculous. So Matt Bishop only got in and threw 2 passes, but hey, man, it worked out. And then Thomas, the backup running back, also gets the touchdown on just 2 carries, 42 yards. I mean, just ridiculous. So just ridiculous stats video game numbers, if you will. So we pick up 3 massive wins to close out our season at 12-0. We barely beat LSU, who had a bad season, but we found ourselves on the ropes in Baton Rouge, but we did pull out the win. But Mississippi State we clobber, and of course Auburn we clobber again as well. So now let's look at some of the results from the weeks that we simmed. South Carolina manages to hang on against Arkansas, so Arkansas takes their 3rd loss of the year, and that's, obviously there's hopes of, postseason glory are just completely thwarted. But even bigger news, Penn State falls up to Northwestern at home. The Wildcats managed to pull off the impossible and knock Penn State out of the runnings here in the BCS rankings, so Penn State's probably officially out of it now, but they follow up the following week, and they get revenge on Indiana. So Indiana grabbed a loss somewhere. I didn't see where they grabbed their first loss, but that second loss pretty much ends Indiana's season completely, as the Nittany Lions get their revenge on the Hoosiers the following week. So the Big Ten is now completely in flux, and now they're absolutely not making it to the BCS national title game. And then Wake Forest falls to Navy. So Navy's actually having a decent season. They're really kind of putting a win streak together to kind of have a respectable season somewhat towards the end, down the stretch. But Wake Forest, their hopes and dreams have been crushed as they grab their first loss of the season to the Midshipmen at home. So the Demon Deacons, a tough loss to take. TCU handles business by grabbing their 12th win, or whatever win it was, and Southern Miss grabs their 2nd loss of the year and effectively losing the Conference USA to TCU. So now this is what your BCS rankings look like here. Notre Dame, TCU, USC, and Colorado State all still kind of hanging on in this undefeated sandwich that we have. So Colorado State is ranked above USC, but USC in the BCS computer is favored a little bit higher. And of course now the battle for the broken shillelagh is going to decide who is going to make it to the national title game effectively, or who's going to be in one of those spots. Notre Dame is at 2, and I would believe that USC probably makes the hop over TCU if they manage to win this game. I would assume that they would. So we're going to sim through the week here and look at the results and see exactly what happens in that rivalry game. And you guys, USC pulls it off, man. Notre Dame travels all the way out to the Coliseum, and they managed to lose a close one to the Trojans. I was thinking about watching this game and maybe showing some highlights. I wasn't sure if you guys would want to see something like that, but I was thinking about that. So maybe in the future we consider something like that. But USC pulls off the impossible and manages to beat the Fighting Irish. And so now, and you can see from the rankings, they hop and go to 3, but in the computer rankings, as I anticipated, they hop TCU. So USC wins the Pac-10. They hop TCU, who wins the Conference USA. Even though TCU is ranked number 2 in the country, they're going to get overlooked in the computer. So unless we lose the SEC championship, TCU and USC are going to be your national title, is going to be your national title game. But if we manage to win the SEC championship game against Tennessee, so we'll have to play the Volunteers again, who have now climbed into the top 10, despite losing to us. They are now the 9th team in the country. But if we beat Tennessee again in Atlanta, then we will be facing the Trojans in our 2nd straight national title game. So we have the chance to go back-to-back. Everything has kind of been lining up here. We are charmed, but Tennessee, who knows? They might not take that first beating laying down. They might be looking to get some revenge on us in Atlanta. I'm not sure. It's happened to us before. We've had some revenge gotten on us, so we need to be strong here in Atlanta, and I hope to see you guys when we play the Volunteers and head to the national title game, hopefully.